Welcome back to another episode of Fail Up. Today, I'm thrilled to have an incredibly inspiring guest with us, Michael Angel. He's a creative producer for the Mike Tyson Group and founder of the PH8 Foundation. Mike's life is filled with high energy moments, traveling the world, attending elite events, working closely with A-listers. But behind all this success lies a journey that was shaped by challenges and personal growth. We're diving deep into those moments today and how he turned adversity into triumph and how his passion for philanthropy and positivity drives everything that he does. I'm excited to share his incredible insights with all of you today. Michael Angel. Welcome, Michael.
Wow, brother, thank you for the amazing intro. Like that was incredible.
I
That
don't,
was
I don't think,
super.
I don't think it does you justice. I was like writing this, and I was like, you know what? We'll save it for the questions. But Mike, I'm glad we finally made this happen. This has been in the works for a little bit. I know you're very, very busy, especially right now. It's the height of everything that you're working on. There's a lot that's coming up, so we'll get into everything. But the first thing I want to ask you, for a lot of the listeners that don't know who you are, um, tell us, right now you're of course working, you have incredible opportunities, you're around incredible people, but let's start from the beginning. I want to rewind a little bit and
Okay.
tell us your background, where you're from, where do you currently live, how'd you get there, tell us the beginning of the story, young Mike.
Oh wow. Okay. Young Mike, raised in East LA against all odds. Grew up with a lot of I don't want to say that like bad people, but I was always surrounded. I was always surrounded by gangsters and stuff like that, and I wasn't the brightest tool in the shed. Growing up in East LA, I was into graffiti. I was into fights. I was just all around a knucklehead. And I have two sisters that are like, which you met, they're honor students, So my dad's all like, what is wrong with this kid? And I was
What's wrong
always like,
with
well,
my
why?
son?
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
wrong with my son? Why isn't he doing good in school? Why is he getting kicked out of school? What is going on? So it wasn't till I fell into that, right? But there was now growing up and looking back, I'm like grateful for all of that. Like there's always these turning points that happen in my life that shifted everything completely, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So growing up in East LA was pretty tough, because all I had was those friends that, they were all into mischief. And it wasn't till I was in high school, actually. This is a big turning point. So I was dating this girl, and I ended up going to go pick her up, and this car full of gangsters was driving by, and they started to throw their signs at me, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Anyways, I guess I was one of their targets, so they ended up getting out the car, and before I ever knew it, I got hit with brass knuckles, and they hit me right here, and all I just saw was red, and that was like I was so close to death. I got kicked out of the LAUSD, and which that's like for those that don't know, it's like the Los Angeles school district. And I ended up going to San Gabriel Valley, and that's where I went to this continuation school called Century High School.
Why did you
So I
get
was
kicked out? Because of this fight, or just
no, I just got caught with certain things, and I was ditching school and getting into fights,
wow,
and
it's crazy.
so I just jumped around. I thought I was macho. Like if people would rub me off the wrong way, I would be the first one to strike. And it came a lot from like going back and looking at all this. It came from like just me wanting to be accepted, like me wanting to show like, oh, like I'm the bigger man and this, all this. And I was just empty on the inside. So I just wanted validation. I wanted to be like, oh, I'm gonna be the first one to do things because like I want people to look at me and be like, hey, like you're the you're like I don't want to fuck with this guy.
Yeah.
And but deep down inside, I'm just a little child screaming for love. Like, hey, like who's gonna love me? Like just
Yeah, yeah,
screaming
yeah.
for it. But I ended up getting going to this school, Century High School, and I met a teacher who I'm still trying to look for her because she changed my life completely. Her name is Miss Yoshida, a Japanese art teacher. And she would always look at me and she would tell me, I know who you are. I know who you are. And who you're being right now is not you. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this crazy woman talking about? And she told me, she got me into like coming after class. She's like, come after class and meet me. And I would go, and then she'd be like, lie down on this table. And I'm like, what is she trying to do? And then she's like, I'm gonna teach you something we do in my culture, and it's called meditation. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. It sounds like you're brainwashing me, you know? And so I did that for like 30 days consecutively. She would lay me down.
This is before the days where meditation was popularized and you see it all over
Yes,
social
before
media.
all of that.
It was the voodoo, whatever. It was just different. It was Eastern and not
It, it,
something we're
it,
familiar with in the US.
exactly. I was like, what is like the inner dialogue, right? Was more like, what is she doing? Why is this bitch crazy? This bitch is crazy. Like what just
Yeah.
a lot of negative self-talk. And she just kept saying, I know who you are. I know who you are. This isn't who you are. And because she would see me act all tough. And at least I thought I was tough, but I was just a little puny kid. Um, and it wasn't until like day 30 where I was I was in the table and something happened where awareness started to build. And I'm like, once that awareness got created, she was telling me like, you can create whatever you want in this life. And it hit. And I'm like, wait, so you're saying I can graduate school? Like, she's like, if you really put your intention and you believe it, you can definitely do it. So then it just happened overnight, brother, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna graduate school. I'm gonna do like all these like things that I
Yeah.
never thought were like achievable started to happen. I was like, I could do this. And I ended up negotiating my way, obviously working. And I graduated high school 6 months early.
Holy shit.
So from
Yeah.
like being behind on credits, like there's always a way, right?
Yeah.
So I got caught up with all of my credits, and then that's when I started negotiating with my teachers. I'm like, hey, like I want to finish this. Give me the rest of the year's work, and I'm gonna put in the work, and I'm gonna do this. And I started doing that. And I was behind on my PE credits, and because they're like, okay, you can't really compile your PE credits to graduate high school because like there's only one PE class per day, and it's slow accumulation. So I had a meeting with the dean, and I'm like, look, I need to catch up with my physical education credits. What can I do? And then she's like, there's nothing you can do. Like this is going to be the step, and it's going to take you X amount of, a year and a half to graduate.
Yeah.
And I was all like, and then something clicked. And I'm like, what if I stay after class and after school and help the janitor clean all the rooms? Can I get caught up with my P credits? And she's like, that's interesting. She's like, yes. So I started to figure ways out to like just get shit done. Right after that, my parents rewarded me with traveling to Denmark to go study. So I studied abroad out there for about a year and 8 months, and getting out of the East LA lifestyle and going into a European lifestyle in Denmark was completely like, it was insane, brother. That was another pivotal moment in my life where I'm like,
Denmark
wow,
couldn't be any more different than the US in general, but comparing East LA to Denmark, yeah, I can't even.
everything. So I was in Denmark, and I learned the language. So that's like my third language. And it was,
Say
it was
something in
incredible.
Danish.
Yeah, yes, good eye.
Is that
That's
how are
I
you?
love you.
Oh,
I
okay.
love
All right.
you.
Love you too, brother.
Um, but, but that changed my life completely. And it was there where I started to get on like into the creative side. I met a Persian family, and they were all into music, and they were just thinking different. And I soaked all of that up in, because when you try something new and you're like, oh, I want more of this. Like this is good for my soul. did all that, and I came back a new man. So I came back a new man, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get back into school, get into college. And my dad was all like, "There's two things that's gonna happen: either you go to college or you get a job." So I went to go apply for college, and guess what? My transcripts were missing. So everything's missing. They're like, you're non-existent in like the
What?
school system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and then I applied to East LA College, and then I applied to Cal State LA, and I was following up like, hey, where are my transcripts? I want to join. And they're like, you're gonna have to pay foreign fees, and it just became like a big obstacle. And then I was like, damn, what the heck am I gonna do? My dad's like, well, you need to get a job. So I went out. I was in Pasadena with my sisters and my mom. No, my one of my sisters and my mom, and there was a job sign. We're hiring at Best Buy. So I see it, and I end up going to Best Buy, and I walk out with a job. I was in the merchandising team. So I was there for about 2 weeks. But in those 2 weeks that I was there, I met a guy named Carl, and Carl was an actor on the side. So he would like leave work to go do auditions, and he ended up getting a role on Adam Sandler's movie called Funny People. So I told him, I was like, "How do I do this?" So he kind of gave me the whole steps on how to get into that business. So right after I quit Best Buy for 2 weeks, I ended up doing that, and that's where I met an actor named Aziz Ansari. So I started doubling for him. I was like his photo double, and they
What?
would set up,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
would so they would set up the camera with me and stuff. I was just standing. So I was doing that for about like 4 to 5 years. And then something clicked where I was like, okay, this is as much as I'm going to grow. As much as Aziz grows, that's how much I'm going to grow. So I was like, I need to do something else. I need to jump into like entrepreneurship or something. So I was like throwing it out in the universe. I was like, what can I do? But at that moment, I didn't have the mentality I have now, where I was like chasing. I was always chasing. I need to chase this. I need to make this. I need. And I ended up getting into partnership with a bodybuilder. His name's they call him. He's known for. Well, I won't mention his name, but I partnered up with him, and we ended up launching an organic protein supplement. So from ground up, figuring stuff out, watching YouTube videos, listening to the audio book Think and Grow Rich, Wallace D. Waddles. We're listening to all these like we're like hypnotizing ourselves. We end up launching, and we start seeing success within the company. We're selling great on Amazon. Like it was insane, brother. The moment we reached the peak where it was like, all right, time to lock in some GNC contracts, my ex business partner ended up taking the money. And I've started to eavesdrop on certain conversations, and he was lying to investors, and it was just not, it was a very, very toxic environment.
And how long did you do business with him prior to this?
Probably like we jumped in, and I want to say we probably rocked out for about like 2 years. two
Yeah.
years, and we ended up seeing success. And my dad was initially he was initially one of the investors, and I know how hard my dad works for the money. Like he's a hardworking man. Like I can't work his work ethic is like I can't compare to that. Like no way, Jose. Like so he ended up taking the money. The whole company started to crumble, and I was broke. I didn't have any money. We were living at Vegas at the time. And I was like, okay, like two things are going to happen. Either I just go back home to East LA, or I try to revive this company again. And I ended up staying and to try to revive it. But deep down in my heart, I'm like, man, this isn't it. Like I'm partnered up with someone who is also chasing money the way I'm chasing it. So that was my biggest lesson right there, was like the universe put someone who's like a direct mirror reflection of me, of like how I operate in the world. Like I was just chasing. Like I didn't care about the supplement. I didn't care about like the health benefits of it. None of that. It was just like, I want to make money. That was it. Another day, like I was reading the book, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And I was like, fuck, dude. I was like, I'm going to leave Vegas. I'm just going to go back to East LA and redo this again. I ended up driving back to Vegas, but I didn't have enough money back to LA, and I did not have any money for gas. So I ended up meeting someone in the gas station that was, kind to fill up my gas tank so I can make it back home to East LA.
That's wild.
I ended up making
This guy left you with this guy really left you with nothing. Like
nothing. My bank account looked red. It was all red.
God.
And it just horrible. Like I was like, fuck, how the fuck am I gonna get out of this? I end up from reading these books, I'm like, man, I can create anything I want. And like it was like that realization of like starting over again. But that was like my ego was holding me down to like, bro, if you go back to East LA, you're gonna be a fucking loser. You lost your dad's money, everything. Like it was just like the ego was just so big. And then the moment I surrendered, I was like, I'm gonna leave, and I left. Ended up back in East LA, and I fell into depression. So I felt like a fucking loser, brother. I was like, damn, I lost my dad's money. What am I gonna do? And then that's when I started to do research on medicines. Like, what's a holistic medicine that can get me out of this depression? Because I was sleeping for like 16 hours. I didn't want to talk to anybody. My throat chakra was just so tight. I ended up coming across ayahuasca. So I ended up doing a journey with ayahuasca. And my intentions for that journey were purification, clarity, and wisdom. So during the purification stage, I reconnected with the essence of love, with joy, with happiness, excitement, all of the high frequencies, which I was bawling for 8 hours, brother. People say you throw up and you shit on yourself. Nah, I was crying for 8 hours. I was crying for my heart and for my solar plex. And I saw visions there of, okay, if we can create anything we want in this world, why not create stuff that can help others? And that's when the inception of PH8 Foundation started. And I got my group of friends, my best friends, and I'm like, yo, let's start helping, kids get clean water. And we started raising funds, partnering up with clubs, and we're donating like a Sunday of, pure drinks to provide, water for kids. So for example, we had the bottomless mimosas provides bottomless water for a child. So we started running with that, and we started to do a lot of big projects. We did projects in Ghana, Uganda, Papua New Guinea, Cambodia, Peru, El Salvador, Nepal. It was there where like I really felt alive again, where I'm like, okay, like God used me as a vessel to provide value. And this was another pivotal moment when we were out in we were in Ghana, and we're in this region called Kumasi, northern Kumasi. And we're all walking through the village, and I would hire cinematographers to come with me. And the king of the land, there's a guy comes out dressed in white who is the king of the land. And he's like, hey, I want to bring you guys into my forest. But all I'm asking you guys is to take off your shoes. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, let's do this. Let's all take off our shoes. And, because he didn't want his land to be, touched by, Western civilization. Like we had all these shoes and stuff. Nobody had ever walked that land with shoes. So the cinematographer that we had hired at the time was like, I'm not going to take my shoes off. And I was like, what? He's like, I'm not going to take my shoes off. I'm not going to listen to this guy. And he like threw the biggest fit of all time, where I'm like, give me the fucking camera. Like,
Yeah.
Fucking camera. Put the camera away. And that's when I told myself, I'm like, I'm not gonna hire cinematographers anymore. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna buy my own camera, and I'm gonna learn this myself. So I self-taught myself, and I became pretty good at it. And then jump forward, one of my best friends, his name's he's known as Dre Mills, has been working with Tyson. He's like Tyson's main photographer. And he had a big project going on. I was like, if you ever need help, let me know. So he called me one day. He's like, yo, we have a big shoot happening, a lot of UFC fighters, Mike, and we need your help. So I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So I ended up helping him with that project, and energy was so good where I just kept showing up, showing up, showing up. And we were doing a lot of content for like a cannabis brand, for Mike's cannabis brand. I'm not going to mention the name because we diluted that company. But from there, brother, like there was a moment where Mike's wife ended up stepping in and she fired everybody. Like the entire company was just fired. And then
Why did she step in and why did she fire everybody?
because there's a lot of how do I say it? There's people just not work. They did not have any integrity with what they were saying, and it was just some shady shit happening. So Mike's wife ended up stepping in, and she's the sweetest of all time, bro. And she restructured all of like Mike's companies, and I was working there for like a whole year for free. Promised that I was going to get paid by the old CEO. Every time I would see him, he was like, "Oh, we're going to pay you. We're going to pay you. We're going to pay you." But something deep down inside was like, I don't care about the money. Like, I'm just here to provide value. And I ended up staying there for a year. Everything happened. Everybody got fired. I mean, it was so funny because they were like, "We're firing you too." And it was like, I'm like, hey, I'm not even getting paid, but like, and it was just like a joke, a running joke. And a couple weeks later, she ended up hiring our new VP. Her name's Armig. She from the old team. Armig. She hired Dre, and then she ended up calling me, and she's all like, I love your energy. You're gonna work with us, and we're gonna form Tyson Group, and we're gonna dissect all the companies and restructure everything. So little by little, brother, I just started to just going with the flow of things, and my responsibilities started to grow and grow and grow. And that was like, we were, when that happened, brother, it was like, let me backtrack a little bit. There was a fight that Mike had. So when we joined the Tyson Group, Uncle Mike was still like, no, we're gonna have to go back a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
missing a big part. I'm missing a big part that's very important. When we were doing content for Mike's old company, which was called Tyson Ranch, um, he was still overweight, low energy, but we were there, and he ended up doing the toad. Are you familiar with the toad? So the toad is it's called the Sonoran toad, and then it has like these like pimples in the back, and you take out the pus, and then you dry it, and then you smoke it. But it's DMT. Are you familiar with
Oh,
DMT?
yes, I've heard of this. I've heard of this. Yes.
So he
Yeah.
did that, and he said that the toad ended up talking to him, saying like, "This can't be your legacy. You got to get back in the gym. You got to get in shape." So overnight, he just started working out, and we were there to capture that content from being overweight and low energy to high energy, and I'm gonna get back in the ring. So we ended up documenting his all of that journey into the Roy Jones fight. So he ended up having a fight, like it was like 4 years ago in 2020, and we just took it upon ourselves, like, hey, like we're just gonna capture this content. Nobody told us, hey, you need to capture this. We were just in there. We showed up every day, and brother, like the rest is history. After that, like I feel like we've all been on a rocket ship just going up. And after that, it was, we took on Hot Boxing Podcast. We took on the Mike Tyson collection. We took on launching his new boxing gear called Tyson Pro. His image and likeness. Traveling with Mike. Like everything just started to compile. And through that,
I
yeah,
have before we jump into, of
yeah,
course, working closely with Mike Tyson. I want to ask you something because you mentioned something that honestly is important to me. I've had seasons of depression in my life a couple of times, and I don't think I don't want to say that everyone's depression looks a little bit different. But I think at the end of the day, we still do have a power inside of us, right? We have a voice inside of us. We have a connection with the creator. And I think it's our responsibility to do something rather than be victims, even during depression. I actually, and this might be controversial, but I don't think depression is the worst thing. I think it's a symptom of you need to get your shit together, right? It's just a
yeah,
reminder that like you got to take action quickly.
yep.
So tell us when, rewind a little bit because I think that's a really critical point in your life, right? You went from feeling like shit and victimizing yourself to like, I'm going to go and help people. And ayahuasca told you that, but what did that actually look like, right? Like, was it really just overnight or like, how did you get up? And it's not normal. Sometimes you're in depression, you get up and you you take some action, but to go out there and be like, I'm going to go from being basically a bum to like, now I'm going to go change the world and start this philanthropy. How did that happen?
So it it did happen overnight. Like, but it was through ayahuasca though. It was through ayahuasca because everything I was holding on, like a part of that, a part of the ayahuasca journey was a lot of releasing, a lot of forgiving, a lot of like forgiving myself, right? Because I went back in my timeline, my whole lifetime while I was under ayahuasca, and I started forgiving everybody and everything, like and every moment that I had where I was like, hey, like I'm letting go and I forgive you, but I'm forgiving you for myself, was like heavy weight just lifted off. And I felt like an onion just peeling off layers and layers and layers. And it wasn't, so my intentions, like I said before, was, purification, clarity, and wisdom. And during the clarity phase, I got to see the connectedness and the oneness of the web and everything. And that's when I was like, okay, so everything is frequency, everything's vibration, everything is intention. You can say you're gonna do things, but if the intention's not there, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
what intention are you doing what with? Um, and I saw in that moment that we're in a big playground. I'm like, this is our playground right here. Like we could do whatever the fuck we want. Like whatever it is, like, and I always tell this to my friends, and they're like, oh, you got dark real quick, but you obviously know the only one thing that's promised is death,
Death.
right?
Yep.
That's the only thing that's promised here. Nothing else is promised. So with you knowing that we all have an expiration date, why don't you go out and live life unreasonable, right? Everybody, and I used to live my life trying to reason things like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna do this because I don't know the outcome for this. But little did I know that that is just me putting myself in this mental jail, right? But like be free, right? A lot of people get a bill in the mail. I'm only speaking about myself, not other people. So when I used to get a bill in the mail, I used to look at it and my heart used to race and like, oh my God, like fuck, like, oh, I got another bill, or like, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I letting this external circumstance dictate the way I'm feeling on the inside? Right. So I started to like nitpick all these things that would control me on the inside. External forces destroying the peace within, right?
Yeah.
And taking all that, I was like, okay, like I don't know how the heck we're gonna help people get clean water, but we're gonna help people. And as soon as I declared that with my friends, we were like, how are we gonna raise money? I don't know. Let's just go to the venues that we used to club at, talk to the owners, and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. Um, and do you want to be a part of it? And everybody that we talked to said yes.
That's
And we
crazy.
raised the capital, and we're like, okay, now we need to find a country or who to help, And then my
Yeah.
little brother Matthew ended up doing. He has cerebral palsy, and he's a very handsome dude. He was doing a photo shoot for this company, and I ended up taking him there, and I met a guy named Sequoia, and Sequoia his son was doing the photo shoot as well. But Sequoia has a nonprofit called Play Well Africa, and they donate Legos to kids so they can teach them how to like build architecture and stuff like that. And I'm like, where do you guys work at? They're like, oh, we work in Ghana. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, yeah, I have this dream of mine is to like help kids get clean water. And then he's all like, dude, they need clean water there, and we're going to Africa like next week. And I'm like, dude, go there and let's see what we can do. So we ended up doing like ceramic filters for the village. They sent videos, and that started to compound, right? We started to get all the stories there, the importance of clean water, and that everything just started to snowball. From Uganda, it became Ghana, and then from Ghana, it became Cambodia. I met a guy named Justin, who's one of my best friends. He's my soul brother. I met him at one of our events, and he came to me. He was like, "Hey, I've been to Nepal. I've been in Cambodia. I've been to these places myself, and they need help." And I'm like, "Dude, let's partner up and do something." So he already had some contacts out there. So all the stars were aligning. I was sitting down with my brother Gordon, and we're in Ghana. We're doing our first well, and we were crying because we were like, our intention and like God brought us here to do this for the kids. And everything's unexplainable, brother. After that, you become unstoppable in the sense of like you don't let anything slow you down. You don't like to hear no's. Like if you want to do something, you go out and do it. If somebody comes in and is like, hey, like you can't do that, be like, watch me. Watch
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I witnessed it. I've witnessed and felt this power of like bringing things to the material world,
Yeah.
and there's no going back, brother. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, again, I actually did ayahuasca when I was at a crossroads in my life where I was like, ugh, like I know my gut is saying to do this, but I can't. I don't know what it is that's holding me back. And I
Yeah.
actually did it in West Hollywood with a shaman who goes around the world and does it. And I didn't. I also like didn't vomit or anything. I remember people around me just like throwing up all night, but it was really uncomfortable. I was fighting the feeling that was coming and the visions that were
Ooh,
coming. I was fighting it, which made it a little bit more miserable and uncomfortable. And then once the shaman came over, he was like, just let it appear, whatever it is, just ride it through. Don't fight it. And once I let it go, it was like, shit, man, like, do I really gotta cry around all these strangers? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how much my ego was not letting me see through. So like bro, like tears and tears. Like I couldn't control it. It wasn't even like hysterically crying. It was just like there was no end to it.
rivers,
There was just it was
rivers.
just rivers, and there was no end. But it was also like it was really beautiful, and it was actually one message, right? But it was like I thought it was this. I was trying to always heal the symptoms, and it was
Yeah.
like this is the root of everything that's holding you back. And I was trying to manipulate it to try to get a message, and it was like, yo, that's not even a problem. Like that's not what's holding you back. Let's go back to childhood and like make peace
Ooh.
with this. And I was like, holy crap. But since
Oh,
then, my life has it's completely changed direction in the way that, of course, here and there I have sometimes where I struggle with things. Of course, it's like you always have to constantly do work and
right.
remind yourself. But I think that was a pivotal moment for me. I remember the next day. This was like I don't know, January, February in LA. It wasn't that warm. The ocean's always cold anyway in LA. Second I finished, I felt more. I didn't sleep all night. I felt more energized than ever. Ran into the Pacific Ocean, and I was like, "Yo, now I'm alive! Like now I'm alive!" And it was
Ah,
crazy because, and it's true. It's a pivotal moment, and you realize how powerful you are. I think obviously you get conditioned through school, society, media, news, parents, whoever it is. You have layers of conditioning that you have to really undo, right? So it's not about always learning something new. It's about unlearning what you've learned as an accumulation of your entire
hundred,
life, right?
100%, brother. a
Yeah,
hundred percent. You mentioned surrender, right? And that's the best thing because like what you resist persists. So legit, when I did ayahuasca, my ego was like, what if you die? What if this? What if you have an allergic reaction? But I told myself, listen, if I die, I die. And that was like the moment where I really felt the true essence of like letting go. Like let go and let God, right? And everything else forms around itself. Like it sounds crazy. I love
No,
Abraham Hicks.
it's
I like
Abraham Hicks is my favorite, bro. No one knows Abraham Hicks. Abraham
I
Hicks
love
is like the original. I would say like it's close to Napoleon Hill. Like Dr. Joe, I don't know if you know this. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work is
of
all
course.
based off of Abraham Hicks. Like not a lot of people know that. So he does
Oh,
the
interesting.
science behind everything. He used to sit at her conferences and he was like, "This is crazy. Is it that simple?" And
Wow.
then he started to be like, "Let me uncover the science behind this." And that's how he
Yeah.
started his work. It was all based off like being in attendance in Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks puts it in a perfect way, though. It's insane.
Dude, you have to have you studied her mentor, Dolores Cannon?
No,
Oh,
I got to write that one down. Hold on.
oh my God. And
Yeah.
she breaks it down. Yeah, she channels too. She breaks it down where anybody can understand it. Anybody can understand it. But
Okay.
it's not like it's tough, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh wow, like it's so easy. No, it's work, constant work, constant work, constant work. And what does that work look like? It's different for everybody. A lot of people like to sit down and meditate. I like to work out or walk or a gratitude journal. Like every morning I wake up, I pray. I'm like, God, thank you for, for this bed. Like, thank you for like like I got gratitude tatted on here because like gratitude is like the attitude for things. Because nothing's promised, right? So I'm
So
grateful for this. I'm grateful for the
it's like the
moment,
base of abundance, man. Is gratitude the
yes.
base?
And going with the flow of that is very, very powerful. I tell everybody like, hey, show gratitude for like a couple days, like, without the negative self-talk or like, judgment or any of that. It'll change your life. It'll
Yeah.
change your life, brother.
It's impossible to be truly negative if you're to your core being grateful for something, right? Like you can't show gratitude and be like, damn, this is amazing. Like I'm drinking this water. This water is the best. Mike is here right now. Like it doesn't matter what my problems are. They all disappear in a moment of gratitude. So it's like, how can I be in a constant state of that frequency of gratitude? It's important.
100%. And listen, God doesn't give you anything you can't overcome. That's it. Like if you have that in your back, in the back of your head, like if an obstacle comes, like you get something, you're like, fuck yeah! After I conquer this, I know I'm going to be more powerful on the other side of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
people always see problems as like, ah,
It's
man.
like a bad
Right?
thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have to stop talking about people. I'm talking about myself. Okay. Every
yeah.
time I used to see that, I was like, oh man, I got this bill. I got this. And now it's like, hey, I don't, it is what it is.
No, I
It
think
is
it's
what it
human. You say people because it's human nature, right? Like if you're not conscious, if you're not really conscious, you're gonna fall victim to those things. And I think it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like the reason why I started this podcast in the first place was I want to show people to embrace adversity and challenges. It's not about being perfect. It's all about progress. We're always at constant work. Sometimes you might get it perfect for years at a time. And then we might hit a new challenge that we really weren't prepared for because
Oh, yeah.
life's been so good. And then you get, and then you're like, everything is too good. What's going on? And then, you start having new questions. Regardless, it's like, we live in a TikTok age. Everyone shows their highlights, and that's one thing I want to discuss. Like real character growth is really uncomfortable. It's challenging. You have to question things. You have to let go of things, and it's tough. It's not easy. And I'm sure you've heard this. You ask God for patience, right? And you ask God for all these virtues of this.
Oh.
God's not going to just put patience inside of you. It's like
He's
God's
gonna
going to
let
put
you
you through the
know.
ringer. Yeah, like
Yep. Oh, we were just
you
talking about this the other day. Whatever you pray for, oh, God's gonna show you. He's gonna show you. You know,
And then and then we say like, nah, like what am I going through? It's like, yo, you just asked for this. Oh, you want more money? Okay, now God's gonna put you in opportunities that are gonna be really challenging, that are gonna test how badly you want the money, right? Like you have to become a
exactly.
certain type of person to attract that money. You don't just go out
Yeah.
there and you're like, oh, like my first deal didn't close. It's like, yo, if you want to be the type of person that attracts money, you have to, again, you got to go through the ringer, right? So that's just
Exactly,
how it
brother.
works.
And you mentioned this, and I love transformation. I joined this. It's like a group. It's called Leaders in Transformation, and we go through like the basic steps of like, all right, step one, how do you talk to yourself? What is your inner dialogue? Step two, how are you showing up for the world? And obviously there's just the categories, but there's so much deep work that goes in it. So much deep work. The third one is manifesting, right? What does that look like to you? A lot of people are like, hey, I want to manifest this, right? But the true reality of things is you attract everything that you're a mirror reflection of, right? So who do I have to become to attract this, right? And that's where the real deep work comes. Like, how are you showing up for the world? How is the universe responding to you? And that's like, and that's why, like, everybody I come across with, I'm the same. Whether, like, it doesn't matter, I'm the same. Like, I'm gonna give you the love. I'm gonna show you you're appreciated in this. And it's the best form, because it's like, right now, brother, in my life, I feel like I'm like free flowing, and things are just lining up. And going back to everything is like, how are you showing up for the world, and how is the universe responding to you, right? So that's very, very, very important. And I always remind myself, like, how am I showing up for myself and for the world?
Well, I'll speak on my own experience. I meet a lot of people, man. I used to live in LA. I'm very social. I meet a ton of people. I can feel energy. I try to put my best self out there as often as possible. I think the older I get, my social battery's kind of drained, in the sense that I reserve more for certain settings, right? Like, obviously, if I'm going to a wedding where it's somebody I'm close to and I'm happy, I'm going to exude a certain type of energy. If I go to a business, so it kind of varies a little bit, but in general, I want to show up, and whether the person reciprocates or not, it's not, I don't care about that. I don't look for any type of anything
Yeah.
from anybody. Right. And with you, holy shit, man. Like, when I'm like, obviously we were having a good time. And I remember the next morning when I saw you at Central Park, it was like, whoa, like, wow, like, yo, he is love, in a person, bro. And everyone had great energy, but it just stood out to me. It was like infection. I mean, bro, like, you have infectious positivity. Like, you got to be one miserable fucking person to be around Mike Angel and like hate yourself in it. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. Even that day, I was out of it. I wasn't feeling my best, but like, even after that, it was like my energy went up, so it's infectious, and I admire that. I think that's lacking in the world, and I don't think everyone has that. It's a gift, and like, you're channeling it the right way, bro. So I really hope that you
Appreciate you,
stay on
brother.
that. You stay on that point. It's awesome.
Appreciate you,
But
brother.
above everything else, I know, of course, you're around certain crowds. You're working with Mike Tyson, which is not small. We'll get into that, but it's like, more than anything, bro. Like, I've been around people that are also around A-listers, but it gets to their fucking head, and they're
Oh,
condescending. They have arrogance, and like, I don't give a shit. To me, I've also seen the Hollywood and all that stuff. I've been in certain settings where I'm around these people, and at the end of the day, you realize they're all human beings, right? So when
yeah.
there's a certain level of arrogance, it's like, no matter what, I'm like, yo, I don't give a like, no one gives a shit that you're friends with this person, you're doing this. Who are you? What's your character, right? And to be around that, and you don't let that get to your head, is it just makes you that much more admirable, because any normal human
Listen,
being, it would get to their head,
listen,
you know?
yeah, brother, listen to this. If I let working, with Mike Tyson get to my head, I would not be working with Mike Tyson.
What does that mean?
He shuts that shit down quick. You come in trying to act macho, you come in like, oh, I'm a badass. Like, no. Like, he will shut that shit down real quick. I've seen it happen myself, where, like, people with big heads come into his circle, and he's very intuitive, and he feels the energy. I'm glad that I went through everything that I did, because when I was working with Aziz Ansari, ego. When I was working with the supplement company, ego death. And then world just started to
You would,
started to live
yeah, yeah.
my dream reality. But yeah, man, it's Uncle Mike is as raw as it can get, and you can't fake the funk with him. He sees right through you, like and
He's I mean, he's admirable. Obviously, of course, his background in fighting and in boxing, but I mean, beyond that, it's not like I didn't watch him growing up, right? But especially going to self help and listening to different interviews of people, successful people, and Mike Tyson, man, every single time he speaks, right? It's like the guy is just full of wisdom, and he's so fucking humble. He's so humble. It's insane, and he just gets it in every sense, and it's wild to hear him. And no one can fuck with him, like you said. He doesn't give a shit who you are. He'll
no,
give it to you the way the way he sees it, and he always speaks
oh
the
yeah,
truth. Always speaks the truth.
100%.
So
He's
before you, so before we talk about, like, what specifically the things you're working on him, tell us what it's like to be so close to somebody like Mike Tyson, right? Like, what does that world look like? What is his character like? Who is he as an individual beyond what we just see in interviews and glimpses of him in the public eye? What is he like one on one when you're around him on the day to day?
Oh, when I'm he is powerful, man. Very, very, very powerful. And I've never in my life have seen anyone bend reality the way he does. He speaks it and it happens like instantly. Like it's crazy, brother. Like
Give
and
us an example, like what?
one that I can legally say.
Yeah,
Let
one
me
that you
see.
can say.
Okay, we'll talk about this. I can talk about this. Let's say we're in a different state, right? And we're just chilling. He's like, "Hey, let's. I want a joint, dude." Within like 5 minutes, he has like people bring pounds. He's like a king. He is a king where like he just speaks it and it just happens. Or like certain rules don't apply to Uncle Mike. Like it's just like, oh,
Yo, that's wild.
that's Mike Tyson. That's Mike Tyson, and it's like he's bended reality. Where and I say it, I'm like, man, like his name has been rippled and echoed through the entire world, and still continues. Where like he speaks it and it happens, and we're big believers in manifestation. Like the whole group that we have with Tyson Group, we're big manifestors. Like, and we move with intention, we move with energy. And my aunt Kiki, she calls us like we're a very tight soul family. And
That's awesome.
but yeah, brother, it's been very, very powerful, and I learned a lot from him too. Like, he has like these quotes. He just, you know, affirmations he randomly says like when he has headphones on, and he like looks at me. He's all like, in life, you're not meant to be humble. You're meant to be humbled. So little things like that, and he's all like, uh, another one that he told me, where I'm like, what? I was just chilling down with him. He looks at me. He's like, I'm not just a star. I'm the entire constellation. And I'm like, God damn, Uncle Mike. I was like, shit, man. Like,
Yeah, bro.
he says these affirmations, and he's a very true believer in all of this. Like, if you look back and you do your research, which I think you should, is look at his mentor, who took on Mike. His name is Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato was a mentalist. He was a hypnotist. And when he met Mike, he looked at him. He's all like, "I'm gonna show you how to do your own autograph, because I'm gonna turn you into the greatest fighter in the world." And he told him this at a young age, and he was like going deep with it with affirmations, and everything that Cus D'Amato told Mike he was gonna achieve, he did.
That's
So
wild.
it goes back to like, what are your inner dialogue, like what are you telling yourself, what your beliefs. So like you can't bullshit around Uncle Mike. You can't, because like what I say, right? Like your word is your bond, like your word is your sword. But if you're over here being wishy-washy, not having accountability with like what you say and what you do, if you're how do you say this, if your lyrics don't match the music of your song, it's just someone with pure integrity and they say what they mean can read it from a mile away. I'm not going to stick with this person. And that's how I operate my life too, where now when people talk about business or whatever, I'm like, okay, like let's hear you out. And we feel out the energy. And if there's like a little blockage or something, we're like, hey, you know what? This isn't for us. Thank you. But then there's those people we meet and then they come and they're like, man, I can see right through you. And it's like you start to form your ecosystem with these people of integrity, then shit's gonna manifest quicker because it's like I trust you and I trust your word, and then you trust my word, and things are gonna happen. But if you try to do business with somebody who's like kind of like 50-50 with themselves, good luck. Good
Yeah,
luck.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not gonna happen. It's insane, brother. Like
yeah.
I was gonna say, like we live in this dream world, and my sisters call me D Lulu. They say I'm delusional as fuck because I do have some bigger dreams that like I'm calling it out into existence, man. I'm just calling it out. I see it, I feel it, I'm excited about it.
Live as if it's already done,
Of
right?
course. Of
Um,
course.
the Yeah, that's crazy. Just digesting everything you said, like with Mike Tyson, like he's a force to be reckoned with, truly.
Oh, he's the
Um,
greatest, man. He's the greatest of all time.
he's known sometimes for being a little, he could be, I don't want to say hard headed, but he could, if you rub him the wrong way, right? Like you said, and I'm sure there are people are, he has it's like it's ticking. Like you got to get out of his face before he flips out. Have you ever seen him get a little bit angry or not happy with something or someone?
100%. And it's like, okay, like, for example, whenever we have training, he wants specific people to be there, and everybody who's there serves a purpose. If you don't serve a purpose, like in there, and you just want to stay, be a bystander and watch, it doesn't matter who it is. He'll go and he'll be like, it's time for you to go. And they're just like, "Oh, okay." Like there's no, you can't
Yo, that's
negotiate. You can't negotiate. You can't.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like you're setting yourself up for failure if you're trying to negotiate with Uncle Mike.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
There's
100%.
no way, Jose. It's like, yes, sir.
So yeah, I would not want to. I remember I saw this thing too where he was talking about, I think, Trump. This is like a famous clip.
Mm,
It was like he was being asked like, "Oh yeah, you're really voting for Trump?" And obviously he's a man of character, right? So he was judging Trump off of his character versus whatever the other side is. So maybe it's a little bit more personal than just politics for him. And the person was, I don't even remember what they said. I just remember Mike Tyson's response, and it was just like, "What are you gonna do about it?"
yeah, he said, "Who you voting for?" He's like Trump. It's like really like this and that. He's like, so what? And he
So
said, he
what?
started talking like, so what? And it's like,
Yeah,
dude, like I wasn't there, right? Like none of us were there, but we can feel the energy of like,
yeah. It's
bro,
get
unbreakable,
yeah, yeah.
unbreakable.
Press the brakes, like stop. Yeah, like he's just unapologetically himself, and
Yes.
He's just a man of principle.
Yep. a hundred
Yeah.
percent. And
So
I just want to add to this that my auntie Kiki, she's an angel, and like they have the best partnership when it comes to like having each other's backs. They've been rocking for 15 years, and like they complement each other very, very well with everything that they're doing. And she's a very powerful spiritual healer, and it's just the perfect duo.
yeah, she balances them out.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%.
Always, how is it right now? Leading us a little bit about the fight coming up, how that came about, and what the last few months have looked like, what the
Yeah.
coming upcoming weeks are going to look like.
So the fight they've been talking about it for like 4 years. After during the Roy Jones fight, they've been talking about it. So I can't say this though. I can't really speak too much on this, but leading up to the fight, it's November 15th at the Dallas Stadium, but training camp has been crazy. Like it is intense. Um, we have Coach Billy. who's Mike's long-term best friends. They've known each other since like 14. You have Coach Rafael Cordero, who's trained like 16 world champs, and he is like a Mike Tyson himself in Brazil. He is, and he is the most humble dude. And then you have Uncle Fareed, who's like Mike's like the long term best friend as well, and he like makes sure things are running smoothly, making sure Uncle Mike gets his water, his like certain things. And then we have strength and conditioning coaches, Andy and Tony, who are killers in the game. They're insane, bro. They're insane. And then we have the therapists who come and work on Uncle Mike's body after. But in there, brother, it is intense. Like, yes, whenever I'm traveling with Uncle Mike, there's a different Uncle Mike, right? It's like, all right, cool, we're chilling, get to work. I'm gonna go do some photo ops, sign some signatures for fans. But then as soon as we step into the boxing club, it's like his lion's den. It's like we can't take anything personal. It's just we're there, we're ready for war. And you feel the energy, brother. It's intense. Sometimes we go in at 11 a.m. and we don't come out to like 8 or 9 p.m. Like
Wow.
it's coming in, he does cardio, gets worked on by his therapist, hits mitts, spars, gets worked on by his therapist, then strength and conditioning, lifting weights, and it's just go time. Sometimes we
That's
don't even
it's
have.
insane that at his age he's just like has this much
Yep.
like I mean it's just insane. I think
No,
it's
brother,
crazy.
it's like even the strength and conditioning coaches, they train a lot of boxers, like young boxers, and they're like, not nobody that we've worked with is at this level, and like Uncle Mike at his level, nobody's training like the way he is. And that is very, very powerful. And when you talk to Uncle Mike, like, hey, but you're 58 years old, how do you feel? And he's like, he always talks about Julius Caesar, like before Julius Caesar existed, who told about who was the guy who tracked the time, who's the guy who said it was 365 days, who's the guy that agreed that 1 year is 1 year, and who agreed that like the older you get, the less energy you should be like you should have. He's like, that is just a number. He's like, it's not about the age, it's about how I feel, and I feel fucking phenomenal, and I can't fucking do this. And we're just like, we're always like wowed by it. And it's
Yeah.
it's a school for all of us, right? Because then it starts to put things into perspective, and you're like, wow, like a lot of people are like, they hit a certain age and they're like, I can't wait to hit this certain age so I can retire, so I can, and it's like they allow that systematic way of thinking to really slow down the body, or slow down um, certain things that you can achieve, but societal norms are like, hey, you're this age and you should feel like this. Nobody at
Yeah.
age 58 should be like doing this. But it's like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do and what I can and cannot do,
Yeah.
right? So we attack life like that, brother.
That's crazy that you're so close to someone that on a regular basis, like to because he's not just saying these things, he's leading by example, right? It's he embodies it
Yes.
to the very core.
Oh, it's a
Um,
gift, brother. It's a gift, and I'm very grateful to be able to experience these things. Like, the Tyson family really changed my life, and they opened up a life for me that if I was to tell you like 4 or 5 years ago about this, like I wouldn't even believe it myself. Like, I've traveled a lot of places with Uncle Mike. We've been to Amsterdam, we've been to France, we've been to Saudi Arabia, we've been to this country that I didn't even know existed until they told me about it. They're like, hey, we're going to Uzbekistan. And I'm like, where's Uzbekistan? They're like, it's somewhere in the stand countries. I'm like, what? Like Kazakhstan,
and
Pakistan,
it's
like,
beautiful. Uzbekistan, I hear, is a
oh,
beautiful country. Actually, the last one of the last guests I just interviewed, he's that's his origin, and he just recently went back. Like he's from Uzbekistan,
wow.
and random
I
but
love Uzbekistan,
mountains.
man.
Yeah,
Everything, everything. And so yeah, I'm very, very grateful, brother. It just goes back to like, being appreciative of everything. It's not going to last forever, right? But as while I'm here, I'm soaking everything up and learning and just being grateful, you know.
So obviously you're somebody that loves life. You've achieved a lot. You've you've gone through challenges that are difficult, right? And not everybody makes it to the other side. And thank God you did the ayahuasca. Thank God you had the click. Thank God that you took action and believed in yourself the way you have. And to maintain, I guess, where the spirit that you have right now, the soul that you have right now, do you have any daily habits, things that just help you with the mindset? I know we discussed a little bit about meditation.
Yeah.
Just,
So
what does your typical day look like?
so the first thing I do when I wake up, brother, is give gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, God, protect me on this journey. And I do my affirmations. Some that I will share are like, I attract the highest and purest energies into my life. I attract the greatest win-win situations into my life. And there's one more. I attract the highest and purest energies into my life. I attract the greatest opportunities into my life. Those are the three main ones that I do. Once I do that and I feel it, I'll go to the gym, hour cardio, then I'll lift weights, and then I'll be in the sauna for 20 minutes a day and get my day started like that. And it's very beautiful because one certain things I forgot to add in there too is like, I choose one person in my network to just express gratitude to, because a lot of people wait for this moment to when someone's sick, when something bad happens. It's like, hey man, like, no, we're in this journey and we're just passing through, and it's not always going to be here. So I express as much gratitude to anybody that comes to mind. Let's say if I haven't talked to a friend in like 4 months or something, I'll reach out and be like, hey, like, just thank you for, the moment that we shared. And that's very, very powerful. Either I text it or I'll like just randomly call people, how you doing, checking in, like.
It's an amazing
And that's
practice. Yeah.
it's yeah it's beautiful, right? Because like I said before, people wait for the last minute to express it, or they wait for your birthday. And it's like, nah, like with me, like, you'll get a text coming soon, brother. But like, for example, one of my great friends, her name's Yaya. She's been hitting the gym, she's reading books, and then she messaged me. She was like, hey, like, which book should I read? And then I'm like, give me your address. And I just bought her 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Yeah.
And uh, she was just like, man, I've never felt so emotional of like receiving a gift. Thank you so much. And like, we need more of that, right? Like, to celebrate wins, to celebrate just on a day-to-day basis. It could be small or big, but just celebrate. Because yeah, like I said, people wait for the birthdays to celebrate. People wait for certain things to happen
To
to,
express,
to
to
express.
express it. I think, yeah, let me ask you this question. How often do you think about death on a regular basis, or
Mm,
does it come here and there? Like how often do you think
no,
about
I
death?
mean, I have it in the back of my mind, like it's gonna happen. It's inevitable, right? So I'm not attached to it. Like, it's gonna happen, and cool. I'm excited for it. Like, I'm really, really excited for it. What's after that? So it's in the back of my head, but I'm not constantly thinking like, oh shit, we're gonna die, I need to get this done. No, 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 no. It's like, hey, this is promised. We can't do anything about it unless stem cell, or some shit happens.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
we get our consciousness trapped in these AI chips. but 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 yeah, man, it's there. And knowing it's there, really, it supports being more expressive, right? Living life like unfiltered and just being you without the fear of judgment. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
being
would say that,
being
brother. It's in the back burner. Yep.
being aligned. I asked because because I think the idea of death is ever present. Um, and I've lost people in my 20s, and I think at a younger age than most, I've just been more conscious of the idea of death. But the idea of death is actually the most freeing thing ever. Because
Yep.
once you realize, like you said, you're going to expire and you're going to die, it's like you have nothing to lose. So why not? You know what I mean? Everything is like, fuck it, why not? Why would I do
Yeah.
it? And to just be the best version of yourself, to give back, to remind your parents as often as possible that you love them, because they're also not going to be here. And if
Yep.
you think about how limited our time is with our loved ones, whether it's your sisters, seeing you again, Mike, and other friends that we're living on different parts of the country. So you're right, right? To think about like, okay, I'm grateful to have this person here. Um, and even if they're not physically here, just reminding them. I like to say it, and I say this. I think this should be pretty normal amongst guy friends. When you really love your boys and people that you just feel like you've known forever, your whole life, and every single time you get on the phone with them or text them, you leave the conversation better than when you came into the
Hmm.
conversation. To just remind them, be like, dude, I love you, bro. Like, there's no other word I can think of that can express how grateful I am to have you in my life. But it's like, make it normal. And I was like, as soon as I met you, I was like, Mike just gets it. He gets it.
Oh,
Like,
100%. Oh,
everybody gets it.
brothers, all my brothers, my circle. I love you. Like it's. Hey, I love you, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love you too, brother.
No, it's awesome, man. It's great energy. One last question before I let you go. You've been through a whirlwind of experiences, challenges, and you never became bitter. You truly became better, right? You failed up in life, and I'm excited to see your growth, especially hearing your story. How much further you're going to get, right? Like I can't even imagine 10 years from now. If we're talking about just the 5 years, imagine 10 years, and as your relationships and everything compounds. If there was one thing based off of your life right now that you could tell the Mike that was younger, that was struggling in high school, right?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could, when he was very uncertain about life, and not sure which direction to take, you know, being the Mike you are today, right? If you could just hug him, give him, and embrace him, and just tell him one thing uh, to push him to keep going, what would you tell him?
Trust the process. That's what I would say. Yo, I would embrace him. I'd be like, yo, trust the process. Trust me. Just trust the damn process, brother. That's it. Keep it short and sweet and simple, brother.
Trust
You
the
know,
process.
yeah. I would be like, okay, you're a little troublemaker, but trust the process because everything led me to where I'm at today.
Do you have any regrets?
I don't. I don't. I'm lying. I have a shit ton of regrets, brother. But like, more like of like not having integrity in relationships and stuff like that, where I'm like, oh, like it painful, where I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
bro,
yeah,
what the fuck,
yeah.
like falling
But is
into
that
some.
is that regret though? Like maybe you feel as strongly as you do now, and you know how you're going to correct the course. Like it's I don't know. I'm just saying, should it really be a regret? Like it had purpose, right? And now you have more meaning in the direction you go because you're not going to fuck it up the next time in a relationship or
Yes,
whatever.
it's. You're right. You're right. You learn from it, right? You
Yeah,
grow from it for sure. But yeah, there's just certain things that where I wasn't aware of how I was operating in the world and how my actions um like would destroy the other people. Like the way they feel about it. That's the only thing I regret. Like
gotcha.
because now I'm like that expressing gratitude to everybody I come across with. That's how that's me, right? The other old versions is not me that was operating under that systemic belief and that hurt people. I don't know if that makes sense. That's the only thing I regret. Or like things with like my parents or whatever, where like I would like escape the house or like talk back to my mom, like certain things like that, like growing up. I regret that because like all my parents want is to provide us a better life, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing everything that they can to give us the best life, and that's the way the old Mike was showing up. Like, no, it's unacceptable, and I do regret certain actions, but it all led me to this, right? To to be more appreciative and be aware and like calculate, if I do this, what is the outcome?
Yeah. Who
Right.
does it affect?
So, yep.
Well, listen, I'm grateful for everything that you've been through because you are the man that you are today. And I think you're going to impact, I mean, to have a philanthropy and to give back the way you're giving back, which, by the way, you have to send me the link so I can put it in the show notes. I want people
Oh,
to go out and
100%.
support your philanthropy. Um, Everyone, check it out. Make sure you click on the show notes. I'll include the links here. Mike, how can we follow you and follow your journey, see where you continue to go? How can we support you?
Oh man. Follow me on Instagram, Mike Angelus. You know, Mike Angel from Los Angeles, Mike Angelus. Keep it nice and simple. That's where you'll be able to tap in.
Got it.
I
And
got Twitter too, but it's more on the political side.
I'm trying to be, especially with this podcast, trying to be a little bit more neutral about like which way I'm swaying with the politics. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
but I feel you. It's, I mean,
All
whatever.
right,
It's,
to clear the air here, more of the Salvadorian political stuff.
oh, okay.
Salvador, President Nayib Bukele,
Yeah.
he's insane, and I love that man. And
He's a
what he
savage, man.
does,
We
yeah.
need like a renaissance like that in the U.S. Low key.
Yep, hundred
Strong,
percent, brother.
strong leader, man. Principles,
Yep.
right?
No, but
Man of
brother,
integrity.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And he does it with swagger.
he does. He doesn't give a
Does it with
shit.
swagger. Nope, nope. Does it with swagger, brother.
Unapologetic. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, brother, I'm
Um,
excited. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I'm grateful for you. And let's definitely do this again in person. And this time we'll pick up from where I want these crazy manifestations in the works. It's already done, right? But
I know.
we just need to shine.
I have you on record. I know you're gonna keep practicing everything, and the next time we talk, you're gonna be like, I didn't even know that this could. That's the energy that I want you to emulate the next conversation that we have. But I'm excited, man. Next time we do this, it has to be in person. Like I said, Mike, just keep being you, man. It's you're an awesome human being, and I'm so
Appreciate
grateful
it,
that I
brother.
met you. And I look forward to even investing in this friendship and seeing where this goes. And I have a
Oh,
lot to learn from you
100%.
too. So you're incredible. Thank you, Mike. I
Likewise,
appreciate
brother. All right,
it.
my
Yep.
brother. Love you, man. Thank you for
Love you
giving me
too,
the
bro.
opportunity.
Of course.
Enjoy your
Thank you for
Sunday,
coming on.
okay?
Appreciate it. You too, man.
All right, brother.
Bye bye.
Peace.